I am showing you today how to do a very basic cast on. This is supposed to be to help with the cables to cast on learn to knit kit pattern, but we'll certainly show you how to begin casting on no matter what project you're doing. So I have already shown you how to select your yarn and your needles and how to tie a slip knot to get started. Now we're going to be beginning our cast on. The cast on style that I've chosen as the great cast on to begin if you're just learning how to knit is called the knitted cast on. The reason that I think this is great for beginners is because it's almost identical to the knit stitch. So once we've learned to cast on, we basically already know how to knit, which makes learning how to do the knit stitches a little bit easier when we get to that point. And it also means that you're more likely to remember how to do the cast on the next time you want to cast on a project. There are many, many other ways to cast on that can all be great. I just choose this for ease of learning. So we've got our slip knot on one of our needles. We want that to be kind of snug against our needles, but not pulled super, super tight. We're going to put the needle with the loop on it in our left hand, and we're going to put the empty needle in our right hand. And the cast on is going to be 4 steps, and we are just going to do these 4 steps over and over and over again. So the first couple of times that you're trying to do them, if they don't go super smoothly, that's okay. We're going to be practicing many, many more times until they do feel super smoothly. So the 4 steps are, step number 1, we're going to take our right hand needle and we're going to put it through the loop on our left hand needle. We're going to go through the front loop, so there's a front loop, the front of the loop and the back of the loop. We're always going to be working through the front of the loop. We are going to be putting our right hand needle through the front of the loop from front to back so that that right hand needle pokes out underneath. Step 2, we're going to take our yarn. You want to make sure that that is the yarn that's connected to your ball of yarn rather than the short little tail. If you pick up the short little tail, you're going to run out of yarn pretty quickly, which is not what we want. So step 2, we're going to take the yarn. We're going to wrap it across that underneath needle. Just lay it straight across there. Step 3, we're going to take that new piece of yarn that we just wrapped across, and we're going to pull it from where it is now in the back. We're going to pull it right to the front, so that now we have a loop on each needle. And step 4, we're going to take that brand new loop that we just created on our right hand needle, and we're going to put it on our left needle and take that right hand needle out. So now we have 2 loops on our left needle, and our right hand needle is empty and doesn't have any loops on it. It will look like these 2 stitches are crossed over each other on your needle. It's supposed to. That's exactly what this is supposed to look like. You're doing it right. So let's go through those steps a few more times together. Step 1, we're going to take our empty right hand needle. We're going to insert it through the loop, the front of the loop, from front to back to make an X with our needle. Step 2, we're going to take our yarn and lay it across that underneath needle. Step 3, we're going to pull that loop from where it is right now in the back. We're going to pull it right through to the front. And step 4, we're going to take that brand new loop that we just created on our right hand needle, and we're going to put it over on the left needle. And you can tighten things up just a little bit if you want to. I do think it is easier to get started to have things a little on the loose side rather than a little on the tight side. So we are going to, step 1, needle goes in. Step 2, yarn goes around, and do always make sure this is the end of yarn connected to your ball. Step 3, this is the trickiest part for most people, so I'm actually going to pull things really loose so you can see this a little bit better. Here's the piece of yarn that we just laid across. We're going to take that piece of yarn that we just laid across, and we're going to come under this strand. So almost like you're using chopsticks, you're going to take your right hand needle and pull it right underneath. And we've created a new loop on our right hand needle, and we're putting this across. You will notice that when I do this, I work very, very close to the tips of my needles. I mean, I'm way less than an inch away from the tips. I find that working that closely to the needle tips makes me have a little bit more control over what I'm doing. You'll also notice that I get my hands involved and put them on top of my stitches quite a bit. This is because I don't want loops to jump off my needles before I'm ready for them to. So when I'm transferring the brand new right hand stitch from my right needle to my left needle, I put my finger on top of these stitches that are already on my left needle because I don't want those stitches to jump off into the air. I want to take this right hand needle and put it over that way. And by having my finger on top, that means these 3 stitches that are already where I want them aren't going to go anywhere. And pull that tight. So this is called the knitted cast on, and the pattern is going to tell you to cast on 20 stitches. So you're going to do those exact same 4 steps over and over again until you have 20 loops on your needle. That very first stitch that we did, that very first loop we created, was actually created by a slip knot. It does still count as one of your 20. So we are going to cast on stitches until we have a total of 20 stitches, including that first one. And that is going to be your knitted cast on for this project.